It's a story that feels like it's straight out of a Hollywood movie. A vibrant young woman's life cut tragically short. A case that grows colder with each passing year, leaving a family desperate for answers and a community haunted by unsolved mystery. For decades, the murder of Sherry Huss remained one of Riverside, California's most chilling cold cases. The file sat on a detective's desk, gathering dust, a silent testament to a crime that seemed destined to go unpunished. But then, in 2019, a breakthrough that no one saw coming would not only crack the case wide open, but also send shockwaves through the very community that had mourned Sherry for so long. The killer, it turned out, had been hiding in plain sight all along. Let's rewind to April 24, 1994. It was a typical spring day in Riverside County. Sherry Huss, a dynamic 39-year-old mother of three, was living in a condo on Desert Belle Drive in Desert Hot Springs. She was known for her infectious energy and her devotion to her children. That evening, she made a few phone calls to friends and family, with nothing seeming out of the ordinary. But the next day, Sherry didn't show up for work. She didn't answer her phone. Concerned, her parents went to her apartment to check on her. What they found was a scene of unimaginable horror. Sherry was discovered deceased in her bedroom. The scene was brutal. She had been stabbed multiple times and had been bitten by her attacker. The initial investigation was intense. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department threw everything they had at the case. They interviewed family, friends, and acquaintances. They collected evidence from the scene, including crucial DNA samples from the bite marks left on Sherry's body and blood found at the scene that didn't belong to her. Investigators believed Sherry had fought fiercely for her life, wounding her killer in the process. Despite this critical evidence, the technology of the time wasn't advanced enough to provide a definitive match. The DNA profile was entered into the national database, CODIS, but no hits came back. Detectives chased down every lead, but each one led to a dead end. The trail went cold. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into years, the case file grew thicker, but the answers remained elusive. Sherry's family was left in a state of agonizing limbo, their grief compounded by the lack of justice. Who would do such a thing, and why? The community whispered, theories circulated, but the truth remained buried. For over 2 decades, Sherry's case was passed from one generation of detectives to the next. Each new investigator would pick up the file, hoping to see something their predecessor had missed. They re-interviewed witnesses, re-examined evidence, but the wall of silence and time seemed impenetrable. The DNA profile was the single most promising piece of evidence, a silent witness waiting for science to catch up. The family never gave up hope, holding onto the belief that one day, justice would be served for Sherry. Then, in 2019, a revolution in forensic science breathed new life into the investigation. The rise of investigative genetic genealogy, a technique that uses public DNA databases to find relatives of an unknown suspect, had started cracking some of the nation's most stubborn cold cases. The Riverside County District Attorney's Office, in partnership with the Sheriff's Department, decided to apply this cutting-edge technology to Sherry Huss's case. They submitted the suspect's DNA profile to a specialized lab, which then uploaded it to a public genealogy website. This wasn't a simple process. It required painstaking work from genealogists who built out family trees based on distant genetic matches, searching for a common ancestor who could lead them back to their suspect. After months of meticulous research, tracing familial lines back through generations, they zeroed in on a specific family. This process narrowed the pool of potential suspects down from millions to just a handful. And within that small group, one name stood out: Sharon Eugene Lovell. The name was a shock. Lovell wasn't some shadowy figure or a transient who had passed through town. He was a local. He had lived in the same county, just a few miles away from the crime scene, for decades. To the outside world, he was an ordinary guy. At the time of Sherry's murder, Lovell had lived in the same mobile home park in Thousand Palms, There was no obvious connection between him and Sherry. No known motive. No reason he would have been on the investigators' radar back in 1994. He had managed to live a quiet, unremarkable life while harboring a dark and violent secret. With Lovell now their primary suspect, investigators needed to confirm the genealogical link with a direct DNA match. They began surveillance. In February 2022, they discreetly followed Lovell and managed to obtain a discarded item containing his DNA. They rushed it to the crime lab. The results came back, and it was the moment they had been waiting for 28 years. The DNA was a perfect match to the profile of the killer who had taken Sherry Huss's life and left his biological signature at the scene. The science was undeniable. The arrest came swiftly. On February 22, 2022, Sharon Eugene Lovell, then 78 years old, was taken into custody. The news of the arrest stunned the community. People who knew Lovell, neighbors who had exchanged pleasantries with him for years, couldn't believe it. He was just the quiet older man who lived down the street. The idea that he was capable of such a brutal act was almost impossible to process. It was a chilling reminder that monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes, they are the people you least expect. For Sherry's family, the arrest brought a tidal wave of emotions. There was profound relief that their decades-long wait for answers was finally over. There was renewed grief as the horrific details of Sherry's final moments were brought back into the light. But above all, there was a sense of justice. The man who had stolen their mother, their daughter, their sister from them was finally going to be held accountable. In a press conference, Sherry's family thanked the generations of law enforcement officers who never gave up on the case. They spoke of Sherry's bright spirit and the immense loss they had endured for nearly 3 decades. The legal process moved forward. In December 2023, Sharon Eugene Lovell pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. By pleading guilty, he avoided a trial, sparing Sherry's family the trauma of reliving the crime in a courtroom. In January 2024, at the age of 79, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He will spend the rest of his days behind bars, a fate sealed by a drop of blood and a bite mark left at a crime scene nearly 30 years prior. The resolution of Sherry Huss's case is a powerful testament to the relentless dedication of law enforcement and the incredible power of modern forensic technology. It shows that no matter how much time has passed, a case is never truly cold as long as there are people willing to fight for the victim. For the family of Sherry Huss, the final chapter has been written. While nothing can bring Sherry back, the knowledge that her killer is facing justice allows for a form of closure that they were denied for so long. It's a story of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of cases, the truth can, and often will, find its way to the light. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as compelling as I did, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into cases like this one. Your support helps us continue to shed light on these important stories. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.